Is anybody out there paying any attention to what's going on in this country, or in this state, or in this city? We know one woman who is. Heidi Harris. If you're wondering what to make of it all, we've got the answer. This is your morning wake-up call.
I'm Heidi Harris, coming to you live from Washington, D.C. It's the Federation for American Immigration Reform's annual Hold Their Feet to the Fire event. By the way, we had protesters out in front of the hotel last night. There weren't a lot of them. Last year, there were more of them. This year, there were a couple of clowns, literally clowns. I have a picture of myself standing behind their banner on the Facebook page. Check it out, the Heidi Harris Show on Facebook. God bless America. I'm good with protesters. It's okay. They had a sign out there that said something about fair, whatever it was, send in the clowns. It's not whatever. It's a circus, whatever. And they were mimes, luckily, so they weren't chanting. They were just quietly sitting there in clown makeup. So the picture is up on the Facebook page. Check it out, the Heidi Harris Show on Facebook. Glad to have you with me today. We were talking about immigration from a lot of different perspectives. Joining me now, Dennis Lynch. Dennis Lynch is a filmmaker. And what's interesting about Dennis Lynch is he's a guy who didn't live anywhere near the border. He's a filmmaker, got intrigued by what was happening down there, and with no agenda, went down and said, I just want to know what's going on. Dennis Lynch, welcome to The Answer.
Well, thank you for having me on your show.
So talk a little bit about what intrigued you, because a lot of times people who are thousands of miles away from the border don't see it. They don't see the problems every day, and they're not, whatever, I don't know what's happening down there. I don't really care.
Well, not just the border, also illegal immigration as a whole. I mean, I'm ashamed of this. I'm not proud of it at all. I've only voted once my entire adult life, and that was about 20 years ago. I couldn't tell you who I voted for.
It's been hard to get excited since then, Dennis. I can understand. You have my sympathy, buddy. I get it.
Listen, and it's very excited. It's very hard to get excited right now
as
well.
Yes, it is. And get your clothespin ready for November. I'm ready.
It's bad. And but anyway, long story short, I seen this guy protesting outside every day for 5 years when I would drive down the street, and there'd be 200 undocumented workers standing on the corner looking for work. And one day, the Neil Diamond song, on the boats and planes. Right. So it's all clicking to me, and I pull over, I throw on my camera, and staying there for 20 minutes, this protester, who hasn't worked, he's a contractor who's out of work for 5 years, can't find any work because he's being undercut. He's getting cups of coffee thrown at him by half the people driving by, and the other people who drive by are cheering for him and calling him a patriot. And I thought that contrast was something that had to be captured on camera, because most films about illegal immigration always paint the illegal immigrant as a victim. And I'm sure and there are that parts of it, but there's another part of the story, and it's never told. So I figured, let me take my camera, go on the road, start down where they come in through Arizona and down in your state on the borders, and just go through the country and see how this is affecting people. And I got to tell you something. 18 months ago, because before I got into films and I got into it late at life, I was a CEO and I was an entrepreneur. And had you asked me what the biggest issues facing America are, I would have told you the housing crisis or the economy and jobs. But they're cyclical. They're going to come back. Right. Although it's taking forever, they're going to come back.
We hope. In our lifetime. We're hoping, Dennis.
But when they do come back, guess what we're getting more of, Heidi? Illegal immigrants.
Right.
I think this is the number one thing that is facing this country that we have to solve. Not just from and nobody knows better than your state, from a financial aspect, but security.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm one of the people that you see running from those towers on September 11th.
Yeah, you were actually there at Ground Zero.
I was there. You saw me on TV with the other people who were running.
What were you doing there? What were you doing on that day?
Well, I worked down in Manhattan, and I was, when those planes came in, the first one came in, you weren't sure what was going on.
Yeah, because unless you saw it, you just heard something, you thought, maybe it's an accident, small plane.
Well, you see a gaping hole in the towers, and you're like, wow. And those towers represent America. And just in the fact that, you could take a shot in the arm, but you're still going to stand up.
Right.
And so, I went closer and closer, not thinking anything of it. And my brother-in-law's a fireman, so I'm seeing the fire trucks going by, and I get, as close as you could look up and see that these poor people, you could just tell the desperation.
Yeah, the jumpers
I get very
horrible.
upset talking about this. And I'm watching people jump for their lives.
And you're thinking, how bad does it have to be when they're jumping out of a building?
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, when that thing came down, I mean, myself and everybody else had supersonic speed, and we're running away.
I'll bet. So you saw it start to fall.
Oh, my goodness.
And you're saying, oh, my God, they can't believe this is falling.
Look, the hair on my arm is starting to stand up as I'm talking to you. And I'm running, and that day changed my life. And that's when I said I was no longer going to chase the almighty dollar. I wanted to go for my dream of making films. It took me a couple of years to get into it. And this is really my first film. I made one before this, but I never released it because I jumped into making this one.
Right.
And look, I'm going to be honest. I thought that you. I was using my business brain. Illegal immigration, election year, make it a really well-produced film, and I'll wind up getting my name in Hollywood,
Well, sure.
maybe even an Oscar. Who knows, right? Michael Moore has definitely got Oscars for a lot less.
Yeah, exactly. And you want, when you're a filmmaker, obviously you want to get recognition for what you're doing, so people see it, the point you're trying to make.
Well, let me tell you something. It shows you how naive I am about how things work. I have applied to almost every film festival in the country that you could throw a stick at, and I have been rejected by all of them, including the ones in Arizona, including the ones in your state, Sundance, them all. I can't get a distributor to look at the film. And when I do ask the question why, if I get an answer, it's very interesting take on illegal immigration. And the take I took is I punched it right in the nose.
That's what they say. It's a very interesting take. Right.
Yeah.
It's a different point of view. Here's a concept. How about putting it in a film festival?
Yeah, it's down the middle point of view. I never inject my opinion about this. I never say this is the biggest issue facing America in the film. I'm telling you that now.
Right.
That film is right down the middle. When you get a chance to watch it, I guarantee you'll call me up.
And I've seen how well produced it is, and from the videography perspective and everything. You talk to people who are actually living that life and all that.
I have people who, Americans. I have people who are attached to immigration, both legal and illegal. They say it is the best film they've ever seen about immigration. And
because once again, you went down there with no agenda. You just were curious.
Yeah, I mean, I was so naive about this topic. I mean, I was born to make this movie. The fact that I haven't voted, that's always worked against me, and now it's working for me because it's so impossible for somebody to paint me a certain way.
Right.
I mean, now that I've been finished with this film, I get called a racist.
Yeah.
How they could call me a racist is unbelievable. I moved my family from a school district that was 99% white, and we are now in a 60-40. So, and I've been an employer of thousands of people over the last 20 years. I've hired everybody, every race, every religion, sex, you name it.
Right.
You can't call me a racist and be able to prove it. You can't call me a political guy looking to sell something. It's impossible. This movie shows how exposed we are as a nation.
Yeah. We're speaking with Dennis Lynch. He's a filmmaker. The movie is called They Come to America. What was the biggest surprise for you, having no agenda going down there, just curious? What surprised you the most?
First of all, nobody understands how open those borders are except for the people who live on them. I expected I'd see a couple kids jumping fences and being chased. When Janet Napolitano gets on television and says the borders are secure, she must be talking about a Borders bookstore because it's not the borders
And they're all locked up because they're all closed.
Yeah, people are walking across the border. And it's not just Mexicans and Latinos looking for work. These are people who want to hurt us, and it's a matter of time before another September 11th.
And that's
up.
where we're going to trace it back to, because we've talked to people today and yesterday who actually live on the border, have border property, who find Qurans, prayer mats, and all various things down there. And also they're saying the kind of people who are coming over now are not migrants coming in for tomato season. These are people who want to do us harm. They're drug smugglers. They're human smugglers. They don't screw around anymore.
Do you know, I mean, that's the security problem. The other problem, if you take away security in terms of the cost, I was amazed by how many Americans want to speak about this, but then when I turn on the camera, they won't do it because they're afraid of being called a racist.
Right. You had to shoot some of the people in your movie from behind, show just the back of their head, because they didn't want to be seen.
They didn't want to be seen. They're so afraid of what happens to them. I was astonished by how much money that we throw at illegal immigrants to teach them English. So this way they could get a better job. And they say to me blatantly in the movie, you'll see it when you see it, Heidi, they say, no, we don't want to stay here. We don't like America. We want to go back home and have a better life there. I can't blame anybody for having a better life. But what I can do is I could blame Congress and the government for allowing this to happen. I can't tell you how many people from the state of California send me emails and ask, and they buy the DVD. And after they buy the DVD, I get those 10-paragraph emails. Thank you for somebody, honestly, making this movie. How can we help you?
Right.
How can we help you distribute? So what we're doing is I'm doing a tour this summer across the country. I'm trying to go to all the major markets and all the small markets because this is also happening in towns with one blinking light.
Right, no kidding.
Okay, so
sometimes worse in those little towns.
It is.
Yeah.
In my movie, I find a man who's standing outside in one blinking light, and he's holding a sign. I need work. He doesn't know I'm making an immigration movie.
Yeah.
I pull over. I turn the camera on. I say to him, why can't you get work? What do you do? I do sheetrocking. I do painting. Why can't you get jobs? They hire people from other countries.
Right. Right.
They're undercutting. And
It happens. I had a guy put a roof on my house about, 6-7 years ago, put a roof on my house, and he said, I'm about to lose my business because I'm getting undercut by people who hire illegals. I won't. We called him back. We moved, had bought another house that needed a roof. The guy was out of business. He was exactly right, and it broke my heart. Here's a guy trying to do the things the right way, and he gets screwed out of the business.
I have so many friends back home in Long Island. I mean, we do have an illegal immigration problem on Long Island, okay? It's everywhere.
Yeah.
And I have friends who just come and say, I can no longer compete. I can't compete. How am I going to do it? Yeah. And in the movie, I asked the illegal immigrants, do you feel like you're stealing Americans' jobs? They say yes. Do you feel bad about it? They say, yes, we do. I say, why do you feel bad? They say, because we could do a job for $500. The American has to do it for $1,000. I said, well, why doesn't he do it for $500? He says, because he has to pay the taxes.
Right. He can't afford it. Right. We're not paying the taxes.
They're saying it to us. It's like salt on the wound.
Yeah.
So how do they feel bad for us, many of them.
Yeah.
So you can't get mad at them. You know, and that's where the government's making this racism is just jumping up. You know how many this is the other thing I get upset about when they talk about getting the Latino vote. Do you know how many legal Latinos told me that they can't stand illegal immigration because they become guilty by association?
Right, that's exactly right.
Yeah, they become guilty by association. So what are we doing? It makes absolutely no sense. And when I made They Come to America, I did not realize what I was getting myself into. I did not understand how huge this
you didn't know
is.
all the support you were going to get from one side and all the backlash you were going to get from the other side.
Absolutely, and there are so many people who just won't speak out because, like I said, they're afraid of the racist mark. You know how many Americans I interviewed crying to me, saying I can't get a job, not because there's not a job available, but because I don't speak Spanish.
Right, that's another factor, too, for a lot of people now.
Florida, by Miami, forget it. These people, between 35 and 55, they cannot find jobs because they do not speak Spanish. This includes realtors. The biggest market, Miami, they're not feeling what we're feeling in terms of the housing market.
Yeah. People still want to live there.
The buildings are being sold in bulk. It's in the movie. Yeah. But you can't be a realtor unless you could read Spanish on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
What is this?
Yeah, it's incredible. Dennis Lynch is here. He is a filmmaker. His movie is called They Come to America. And so you're doing screenings. And where can people get a copy of your movie?
If they go to theycometoamerica.com, they buy the DVD. I invite them to do that. It's for $15 and have a screening at your house with 15 people. I mean, pass it around as much as you want. I would like to reach back out to you when you watch the movie. And maybe we could hook up together and have a screening in your area.
I think that'd be a great idea.
Yeah?
I'd love people to see it. Absolutely.
Oh, thank you so
much. And an excuse for you to come to Southern California. You'd be happy to bring the family out, right?
Absolutely.
Take them to Disneyland and whatnot and hang out and do the screening at the same time.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on your show.
Listen, Dennis, you did a great job, and I'm excited about it, and we will talk again very soon. Dennis Lynch, the movie's called They Come to America. Thanks for doing it.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for shedding light on it. That's important. I'm Heidi Harris. I'm coming to you live from Washington, D.C. It's the Federation for American Immigration Reforms. Hold their feet to the fire event. Coming right back. You're listening to The Answer.